So in the London system, another major sideline is the Grunfeld, and it is what I recommend against London. But let me show you like a demonstration of what you should play against the Grunfeld. So black can either start with d5 or knight f6, and after knight f6 he can just play transpose, I guess. But I'm going with d5 and then bishop f4, knight f6, and e3. So after this, black will actually play g6, which would transpose into the Grunfeld. So knight c3 is a more tricky move. Let me change the piece name. Okay, knight c3 is maybe this one is better. So knight c3 is a pretty new move, and the plan is to castle queenside and maybe this. But in this video, I'm not really going with that plan. Instead, after bishop g7, after h4 and h5, if he plays castle, then you just play h5. And if knight takes, rook takes, pawn takes, and queen takes, and the engine already says that white has a 2+ advantage, so this variation is bad for black. Now after h5, the probably more natural response is to just play queen d2 or bishop e2 or knight f3. But knight b5 is the move I'm recommending, and the point is to misplace the knight, and now you can just play knight f3, c6, and I don't really think these two moves were good for black. The knight isn't really good here. I mean, white can always even take this and play queen e2. And the c6, I think c5 would be better if black could play that. So I think those are the major upsides of knight b5. Now he has to go to knight c7 and try to maneuver his way to a good position. But back here, if he didn't want to play c6 and instead keep the knight here, he has a few choices with bishop g4 with one of them, and either way you still play knight to c3. And the threat is to take and then play queen e2. So if he plays rook c8, you just take, and although he is trying to play c5, the a6 pawn is too weak. And here he can also play knight b4. So knight b4 is probably to go back to knight c6. And probably c5 first and then knight c6. But you can just play bishop b5. And black is forced to either play c6 or knight c6. And because he already played bishop g4 instead of c6, I think it's better to play knight c6. Now queen d3, bishop f5, and bishop f5 isn't the best move here. The best move is to play bishop d7, but if black plays bishop f5, you can actually play bishop takes c6, now b takes, and queen a6. And basically every single variation here is bad for black because of the double pawns. So instead of bishop f5, bishop d7 would be a better choice. And knight e5, again threatening to take and double his pawns. bishop d7, castle in queenside, and you can basically just keep pushing your pawns and you get a huge advantage. And maybe, say, if you open the g file at some point and you have the rook here, you could probably play knight takes g6 and take on g7. But that's very later. So here, another option is c5. So c5 attacks the d4 pawn and, well, yeah, that's about it. And, well, it looks like a typical London now, except the knight's on a better spot. Bishop d7 and a4, and if black ever tries this, I think this is a pretty big advantage. So instead of c5, I think castling would be probably one of the best. And on knight c3, c5, and again you still double his pawns. And a pretty recurring theme in this video will be that the bishop will pin the other bishop. And the point is that if black ever tries to move his knight, maybe to g4, you just take it, and black's dark squares are weak. His king is basically doing the job of a bishop. Not that great. So he played c6, and knight c3, knight c7, and instead of knight c7, he could also play bishop g4, and now bishop takes a6, b takes, and queen e2. The two pawns are again very weak. Now, queen b6 seems to save them both, and rook b1, it's pretty better. It's pretty much better for white. You can play knight a4, knight c5, and take the a6 pawn. So now, after knight c3, bishop f5 is also another option. Bishop f5, bishop takes, and castle. And now queen e2, again, trying to take the pawns. And it'll pretty much be the same. You just do that. So black played knight c7 and queen d2. Now black has another line of variations, and one of them is knight e6. So knight e6 is trying to get rid of the bishop, and again you get to pin the knight to the bishop. And now bishop d3, knight g4, and his king is not that great. And castling kingside is safe here because there's not many threats. And this is a bad bishop. He tries to play b6, maybe making the bishop a little better. But you can just play e4, and I think the bishop is a lot better than black's. So castle and then bishop e5. Again, it's pinning the knight to the bishop. And a5, maybe trying to start an attack on the queen side, because that's what he can do. But you just play a4 and knight e6. You just take it, and I think the position is pretty much equal here. It's balanced. black has the 2 bishops, and that's why. But an idea here is that you can kick away the knight with f3, and you could maybe take on f7, threatening the bishop. And the other option is bishop f5, and then, well, yeah. Oh, wait, okay. So, knight a6, e4, and knight c7. You castle, and, well, the pawn majority is pretty good for white. Rook f1, and queen b6. And rook c1, maybe trying to use the c file. So instead of those two, black can also play knight e6 and bishop e5 and castle, bishop d3, knight g4, and I think I already went through this, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, that's about it for the London against the Grunfeld. Although there aren't that many options, but I think it's pretty good. This idea with h4 and then knight b5. So you can try it out sometime, and thanks for watching, and bye.